As the Tory party continue their infighting, Reform UK are making their next move. This time is Richard Tice's policy on immigration. Hello everybody, welcome back to the show. I'm absolutely not surprised to actually say that once again, Reform UK's party leader, Richard Tice, has come out with some detailed policies. We're not really seeing much when it comes to actual detailed policy proposal from the mainstream parties these days. You see a lot of empty promises, over promises, but not really anything logical and rational or with common sense. First, a few months ago we had, as we reported on the channel, Richard Tice proposing how to tackle the cost of living crisis and the energy security issues and everything else. Now, of course, if you're right-wing, left-wing, some people will agree with the plan, some people disagree with the plan. But everybody could actually admit that at least there was some effort into finding out what to do and finding the solution. This time, he's come out one more time to tell us his plans on immigration, specifically illegal immigration. And this is actually quite interesting because obviously we're waiting to get more details from Reform UK, and we're going to get Richard Tice hopefully back on the channel like before to talk about this. But this is the speech he made.
We have to leave the European Convention on Human Rights. And we have to have a very simple policy with the boats. It's basically what Australia did. And we can do it legally under existing legislation with political will. We have to have a simple policy of pick up, put them into border force boats, and take back to Calais and to Dunkirk. Pick up and take back. And we can do it under the 1974 Safety of Life at Sea Act.
Now, this is the level of effort and research that I really respect and I really appreciate, because the current political class and in the mainstream parties, people in government right now, you've got the special advisors, the SPADs, who advise the ministers, and they're all basically consist of all the young people these days. And then you have the civil servants who, don't really like change, especially in the Home Office. They like the current convention. But then what happens is somebody advises and someone says, oh, well, you can't really change anything because of the existing legislations and international law. It's illegal. If you make some effort, there's always a loophole. And there's always some, not necessarily a loophole, there's absolutely always a solution. And this is actually a good example that Richard Tice is bringing up.
I'm one of the sad folk that's actually read the thing. I have to tell you, it's a pretty dry old read. But it's in there. That's what we have to do. The French will be a bit grumpy for a couple of weeks, but then we'd do a deal. We need joint processing centres in France. They need to know we're serious. We're going to take everybody back under existing legislation. We'll do a deal. We'll have joint processing centres, process people within 2 weeks.
Now, that's the key point. Usually from smaller alternative parties, third parties, fourth parties, you get a lot of reactionary policies, a lot of populist policy ideas, and like say, oh, just turn the boats around or sink them or whatever. But there is an actual, some common sense into what Richard Tice and Reform UK are saying, which is so sad to say because this should come from the Conservative Party. Because what he said is that, use the existing legislation to make sure that you're not actually breaking any law. And then you do that to actually have a long-term solution, to get the French to come back to the table, basically force their hand, and work together for once. Get actual centres in France, set them up, joint, work together, and sort out the applications and who's going to be, obviously, see who's going to be rejected, who's going to be approved. And it's not that illogical. It's all about, as Richard Tice said, having the political will.
The genuine asylum seekers genuinely fleeing war zones and persecution, of course, would be welcomed and shared out in the usual appropriate way. But we know the vast majority are economic migrants, and they should be returned from where they came. You could stop this with courage, with political will, in a matter of weeks.
This is the thing. I mean, when it comes to genuine asylum seekers and genuine political refugees, then if you have that joint operation, and you can actually vet people, hopefully, then once we have vet them, once they have actually approved their cases, then fine. An appropriate number of people, and we could actually see who they are, that's okay. But then this process could actually prove which ones are economic migrants and which ones are basically just dealing with all those people smugglers. You could prevent that, and you can actually then encourage and motivate the French to have the political will to go after the people smugglers as well, because rationally speaking, it's also not good for the French economy to have people smugglers making money cash in hand without paying any taxes. So it is all about the political will at this point. But again, well done, Reform UK and Richard Tice, for coming up with some common sense policy idea. We're going to come back in half an hour. We're going to take a quick break, and then when I come back, I'm going to tell you about The Guardian going about a little bit mental on Liz Truss and her dress code and fashion sense. Just wait for it. Subscribe to the channel. I'm Tousi, and we are the media.